Something massive is happening around XRP right now, and the crypto community cannot stop talking about it. There are growing rumors, strange market moves, and new discussions about whether Ripple could actually be preparing some kind of XRP buyback strategy behind the scenes. Investors are watching every move because if something like this ever happened, it could completely change the future price of XRP and shock the entire crypto market. Some people believe this could be connected to liquidity, regulation, or even global banking adoption, while others think this is only the beginning of a much bigger plan that has not been fully revealed yet. The question is no longer whether XRP can survive. The real question now is how big XRP could become if these rumors turn out to be true. Over the past few years, XRP has gone through one of the craziest journeys in the entire crypto market. While many projects disappeared after hype cycles ended, XRP somehow remained one of the most discussed digital assets in the world. Even during lawsuits, exchange delistings, market crashes, and nonstop criticism from people outside the XRP community, the coin continued to hold a powerful position in crypto. Now, the conversation is changing again, and this time people are talking about something that sounds almost unbelievable. Investors are asking whether Ripple could eventually buy back XRP from the open market. And the reason this discussion is exploding is because of how fast Ripple's business expansion is happening around the world. Many XRP holders believe Ripple is building something far bigger than just another crypto company. Ripple has already positioned itself inside the global payments industry, and that is why every new partnership creates more excitement. Financial institutions continue exploring blockchain payment systems because traditional international transfers are slow, expensive, and outdated. Ripple's technology focuses heavily on solving this exact problem. XRP was designed to move value quickly across borders while reducing costs and settlement times. That utility is one of the main reasons people believe XRP still has enormous long term potential despite all the market volatility. Now, the interesting part is this: as Ripple expands its payment network, liquidity becomes more important than ever. Large scale financial operations require deep liquidity pools to handle major transaction volumes without causing market instability. Some XRP supporters believe Ripple may eventually need to secure more XRP supply directly from the market if institutional demand grows fast enough. That is where the buyback rumors start gaining attention. People are wondering if Ripple could one day decide to acquire massive amounts of XRP to support liquidity systems, enterprise solutions, or future financial infrastructure. The idea sounds shocking to many investors because XRP already has one of the largest circulating supplies in crypto. However, supporters argue that utility matters more than supply when adoption begins accelerating globally. They point to the fact that many banks and financial companies care more about speed, reliability, and efficiency than market narratives. If Ripple's payment systems continue expanding internationally, demand for XRP could theoretically increase alongside network usage. That possibility is exactly why the market keeps watching Ripple so closely. Another reason these rumors are growing comes from Ripple's aggressive business strategy over the last few years. Even during legal battles in the United States, Ripple continued pushing into other regions, including Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and Latin America. The company did not stop building. Instead, many people believe Ripple used that difficult period to strengthen global relationships quietly while the crypto market was distracted by short term price movements. Now that regulatory clarity around XRP has improved compared to previous years, investors are starting to wonder if Ripple is preparing for a much larger growth phase. At the same time, social media speculation has added fuel to the fire. Influencers, analysts, and XRP supporters continue discussing theories about hidden institutional demand, supply shortages, and possible future market shocks. Some of these ideas are clearly exaggerated, but others are based on real concerns regarding liquidity and future adoption. The XRP community has always been extremely passionate, and whenever new developments appear, excitement spreads quickly across the internet. That excitement creates momentum, and momentum attracts even more attention from investors looking for the next major crypto opportunity. What makes XRP different from many other cryptocurrencies is that the conversation around it is not only about retail investors. XRP is constantly linked to discussions about banking systems, international settlements, tokenization, central bank digital currencies, and cross border finance. Whether people agree with Ripple's vision or not, the company has managed to remain part of major financial conversations for years. That alone separates XRP from countless smaller crypto projects that rely only on hype without real world utility. The biggest thing investors need to understand right now is that rumors alone do not guarantee price explosions. Markets move based on reality, adoption, regulation, and investor confidence. However, speculation often starts long before major developments become public. That is why so many XRP holders are paying attention right now. They believe the market may still be underestimating what Ripple could accomplish if global financial adoption continues increasing over the next several years. One of the biggest reasons people keep talking about a possible XRP buyback is because Ripple's position inside the financial world looks very different today compared to just a few years ago. Back then, many investors only saw XRP as another cryptocurrency trying to compete in a crowded market. But now the conversation has shifted toward real financial infrastructure, institutional payments, and long term utility. That shift is important because once large financial companies begin using blockchain systems seriously, liquidity becomes one of the most valuable pieces of the entire network. Ripple has spent years promoting the idea that XRP can act as a bridge asset between different currencies around the world. Instead of banks keeping huge amounts of foreign money sitting in accounts across different countries, XRP could theoretically help move value instantly from one currency into another. That process would reduce costs, improve speed, and make international transactions much more efficient. This is why Ripple keeps focusing on cross border payments instead of trying to become another meme driven crypto project chasing short term hype. Now, think about what happens if this system grows on a much larger scale. If more banks, payment providers, and financial institutions start using Ripple technology daily, demand for liquidity could increase dramatically. Some XRP supporters believe Ripple may eventually need stronger control over available XRP supply to support this growing network activity. That is where the buyback theory becomes interesting. Investors believe Ripple could potentially purchase XRP from the market over time to strengthen liquidity operations or support future enterprise demand. Of course, there is an important difference between speculation and confirmed plans. Ripple has never officially announced a massive XRP buyback program like the rumors spreading online. That is something investors need to remember clearly. But the reason these discussions continue growing is because people are trying to connect the dots between Ripple's business expansion and the future role of XRP inside the global financial system. Whenever a company continues building partnerships and infrastructure, investors naturally begin wondering how valuable the underlying asset could eventually become. Another major factor behind this excitement is scarcity psychology. Even though XRP has a large total supply, investors understand that not all XRP actively moves in the market at the same time. Some tokens are locked in escrow, some are held long term by investors, and some may eventually become tied to institutional operations. If adoption increases faster than available market liquidity, traders believe supply pressure could become a major factor in price movement. That possibility is one reason why many XRP holders remain extremely bullish despite years of market uncertainty. At the same time, Ripple's legal situation in the United States changed the way many people view XRP's future. For years, the lawsuit created fear throughout the market. Exchanges removed XRP, investors became nervous, and critics claimed Ripple's entire business model was in danger. But Ripple continued operating globally during that period. Instead of collapsing, the company expanded internationally and strengthened relationships outside the United States. When parts of the legal pressure started easing, many investors saw it as a turning point for XRP's long term future. Now, people are beginning to ask a much bigger question. What happens if Ripple finally enters a period where regulation becomes clearer, institutional interest grows, and global payment adoption accelerates at the same time? That combination could completely transform market sentiment around XRP. Suddenly, the conversation would no longer focus on survival. It would focus on growth, expansion, and long term value creation. This is why XRP supporters pay close attention to every Ripple announcement, every banking partnership, and every new international development. They believe Ripple is slowly building a financial network that could eventually operate on a global scale. If that happens, XRP's role inside the ecosystem could become much more important than many people currently realize. The buyback rumors are really a reflection of that larger belief. Investors are not only speculating about Ripple purchasing XRP, they are speculating about a future where XRP becomes deeply integrated into international finance. At the same time, critics continue pushing back against these ideas. Some analysts argue that XRP supporters are too optimistic and that global financial adoption takes much longer than people expect. Others believe banks may prefer private blockchain systems instead of relying on public cryptocurrencies. Those concerns are valid, and that is why XRP remains one of the most debated assets in crypto. Some people see massive future potential, while others remain highly skeptical about whether Ripple can truly transform global payments at the scale supporters expect. Still, one thing is impossible to ignore. XRP continues staying relevant year after year while thousands of other crypto projects disappear completely. That staying power matters because financial markets reward projects that survive difficult periods and continue building during uncertainty. Ripple has managed to do exactly that, and now investors are wondering whether the next phase for XRP could be much bigger than anyone imagined during the lawsuit years. As the XRP discussion becomes louder across the crypto market, many investors are starting to focus on one major idea that could completely change everything for Ripple and XRP in the future, and that idea is institutional adoption. Retail investors alone cannot create the kind of long term financial transformation that XRP supporters talk about every day. The real opportunity comes if large financial institutions begin using Ripple technology at scale, because once serious money enters the system, the demand for speed, liquidity, and reliability becomes much more important than short term market hype. This is exactly why XRP supporters believe the market may still be underestimating Ripple's long term strategy. Ripple has never focused heavily on meme culture or hype driven marketing like many crypto projects. Instead, the company spent years building relationships with payment companies, financial providers, and banking partners around the world. While many people inside crypto were chasing fast profits from trending tokens, Ripple kept positioning itself around real world financial use cases. That difference is one reason XRP continues attracting attention even after facing years of legal pressure and market criticism. The buyback rumors are connected to this bigger picture because investors believe Ripple may eventually need stronger XRP liquidity to support large scale financial operations. Imagine a future where international transactions move across blockchain networks every second between different countries and currencies. In that type of environment, liquidity becomes critical. Supporters believe Ripple could decide that owning or controlling larger amounts of XRP would help stabilize operations, improve transaction efficiency, or prepare for future institutional demand. Some investors also point to Ripple's escrow system as part of the discussion. Ripple already controls a significant amount of XRP through escrow accounts that release tokens gradually over time. The company created this system years ago to improve transparency and reduce fears about sudden market flooding. However, some XRP holders believe the escrow structure itself proves Ripple thinks carefully about long term supply management. That belief adds even more fuel to theories about future market strategies involving XRP acquisition or liquidity control. At the same time, the global financial system itself is changing rapidly. Countries around the world are exploring digital assets, blockchain payment systems, and tokenization technologies. Central banks continue researching digital currencies, while financial companies look for faster settlement systems that can operate internationally without traditional delays. Ripple has consistently tried positioning itself inside these conversations. That is why many XRP supporters believe the company could benefit if the financial industry moves toward blockchain based infrastructure over the next decade. Another major reason investors remain excited is because XRP transactions are extremely fast compared to many traditional financial systems. Speed matters in global finance because delays cost money. Businesses moving millions of dollars internationally care about efficiency, settlement time, and transaction reliability. Ripple's supporters believe XRP solves many of those problems better than older financial systems. If more companies begin realizing those advantages, demand for XRP related liquidity could potentially rise much faster than the market currently expects. Still, there are major risks that investors cannot ignore. Crypto markets are extremely unpredictable, and speculation often moves faster than reality. Many rumors spreading online have no official confirmation, and some influencers exaggerate possibilities simply to create excitement. That is why smart investors always separate facts from emotional hype. While Ripple's business growth is real, there is currently no confirmed announcement proving Ripple plans to buy back XRP in the way many people imagine. Investors should understand the difference between community theories and verified corporate actions. However, market psychology plays a powerful role in crypto. Sometimes the idea of future adoption alone is enough to create major investor interest. XRP holders believe the market may eventually experience a supply shock if institutional demand rises quickly, while long term holders continue refusing to sell. This theory has become one of the biggest narratives inside the XRP community because supporters believe many investors still fail to understand how large global financial markets actually are compared to the current crypto market size. Another important point is that Ripple's success does not automatically guarantee XRP price explosions overnight. Even if Ripple expands globally, market conditions, regulations, competition, and economic factors still matter. Some investors expect unrealistic prices within short periods of time, and that can create disappointment when markets move slower than expected. Long term investing requires patience, especially in crypto, where volatility can shake confidence very quickly. What keeps XRP different from many other assets is that the discussion never fully disappears. Every time the market thinks XRP is losing momentum, another wave of speculation, partnerships, or legal developments pulls attention back again. That constant relevance shows how deeply XRP remains connected to conversations about the future of finance. Whether people support Ripple or criticize it, almost everyone in crypto recognizes that XRP still plays an important role in the broader digital asset industry. Now, investors are watching closely to see what happens next. If Ripple continues expanding internationally, if regulations improve further, and if institutional adoption begins accelerating, the entire market could start viewing XRP very differently than it does today. That possibility is exactly why the buyback rumors continue spreading. People believe Ripple may already be preparing for a future where XRP becomes far more valuable and far more important than most investors currently realize. Right now, the biggest reason XRP continues attracting massive attention is because many investors believe the project is approaching a turning point that could redefine its future completely. For years, XRP was trapped in a cycle of uncertainty because of regulation, lawsuits, and nonstop market fear. During that period, many people assumed Ripple would struggle to survive long term. But instead of disappearing, Ripple kept expanding globally, building partnerships, and positioning itself deeper inside the international payments industry. That resilience changed the way many investors now look at XRP. The buyback rumors became even stronger after people started noticing how aggressively Ripple continued growing outside the United States. While legal pressure slowed momentum in some regions, Ripple focused heavily on countries where blockchain innovation was moving faster. The company expanded relationships in Asia, the Middle East, and other international markets that are becoming increasingly important in global finance. XRP supporters believe Ripple would not continue investing so heavily into global expansion unless the company saw enormous future potential for its payment ecosystem. One of the most important things happening in finance today is the race toward faster settlement systems. Traditional international payments can still take days to complete depending on the banks, currencies, and countries involved. Businesses lose time and money because of those delays. Ripple's technology attempts to solve that exact issue by making transfers much faster and more efficient. If financial institutions continue searching for modern payment solutions, supporters believe Ripple could eventually become one of the key companies helping modernize cross border finance. That possibility creates enormous speculation around XRP because XRP acts as the bridge asset connected to Ripple's payment vision. Investors believe that if the network grows large enough, XRP demand could rise significantly as more liquidity becomes necessary for international transactions. Some supporters even argue that current market prices do not reflect what XRP could be worth if global adoption accelerates over the next several years. This is why so many long term holders remain patient despite market volatility and years of uncertainty. The buyback theory itself represents something bigger than simply purchasing coins from the market. For many XRP supporters, the theory symbolizes confidence in future demand. Investors are essentially asking whether Ripple may eventually need to secure larger amounts of XRP because the network becomes too important to rely entirely on open market conditions. Even though there is no official confirmation of such plans, the idea continues gaining attention because it connects directly to broader expectations about Ripple's future growth. Another major factor increasing excitement is the possibility of regulatory clarity improving further in the crypto industry. For years, regulation created fear because companies did not know how governments would treat digital assets long term. XRP became one of the biggest examples of that uncertainty because of Ripple's legal battle in the United States. But as legal clarity slowly improves, many investors believe institutions may finally feel more comfortable exploring blockchain based payment systems. If that happens, Ripple could be in a much stronger position than many people expected during the height of the lawsuit. At the same time, the crypto market itself has matured significantly compared to earlier years. In the past, many investors only focused on hype, memes, and short term speculation. Today, more attention is moving toward utility infrastructure and real world adoption. Investors want to know which projects can survive long term and provide actual solutions for global industries. Ripple has spent years trying to prove that its technology serves a real purpose inside international finance. Whether critics agree or not, Ripple's focus on utility continues separating XRP from many other cryptocurrencies. Still, the market remains highly emotional, and emotions can create unrealistic expectations. Some investors believe XRP could reach unbelievable prices almost overnight if institutions fully adopt Ripple's systems. Others believe those predictions are far too optimistic and disconnected from reality. The truth is that financial transformation usually happens slowly. Large institutions move carefully because global finance involves regulation, compliance, and massive amounts of money. Even if Ripple succeeds long term, adoption could take years to fully develop. That does not stop excitement from building, though. Every partnership announcement, every banking discussion, and every new Ripple expansion creates more speculation about what XRP's future could eventually look like. Social media continues amplifying these conversations daily. Some people believe XRP is massively undervalued, while others remain skeptical about whether Ripple can achieve its biggest goals. This constant debate is one reason XRP remains one of the most watched digital assets in the world. What makes this moment especially interesting is that the market appears to be entering a new phase where institutional interest in blockchain technology is becoming more serious. Governments, banks, and payment companies are no longer ignoring digital assets completely. Instead, many are researching how blockchain systems could improve efficiency and reduce operational costs. Ripple has been preparing for this environment for years, and XRP supporters believe the company may finally be approaching the stage where all that preparation begins paying off in a major way. Now, investors are watching closely because if Ripple's long term vision actually starts unfolding at scale, the conversation around XRP could change forever. The rumors about buybacks, liquidity control, and institutional adoption all connect back to one central belief shared by many XRP holders. They believe Ripple is building towards something much larger than the market currently understands, and they think the next few years could reveal just how important XRP may eventually become in the future of global finance. As we look at everything happening around Ripple and XRP right now, one thing becomes very clear. The conversation is no longer only about price charts or short term market moves. The bigger discussion is about whether Ripple can truly become part of the future financial system and whether XRP could eventually play a major role in global payments. That is why the buyback rumors have captured so much attention across the crypto community. People are trying to understand what Ripple's long term vision could actually look like if adoption keeps growing worldwide. For many XRP holders, this is about far more than speculation. They believe Ripple has spent years building quietly while the rest of the crypto market focused mainly on hype cycles and fast profits. During lawsuits, market crashes, and heavy criticism, Ripple continued expanding internationally and forming new partnerships. That consistency created a strong belief among supporters that the company is preparing for a much larger phase of growth in the future. Whether every rumor is true or not, investors see Ripple's global expansion as proof that the company is still pushing aggressively toward long term adoption.